Hello, my fellow bounty hunters, and welcome to episode 17 of the Get Equipped podcast. I am Cody, and joining me tonight is, as always, Cass. Cass, how's it going tonight?
Pretty good, but since we're bounty hunters, I want to be Cass Bane.
Okay, Cass Bane, that's actually a pretty good name, and I'm kind of about it. I like it. And also joining me this evening, we have Sophie. Sophie, how's it going?
It is going pretty well, my friend.
Awesome. All right, so this is kind of the reboot of the lost episode, so to say. And this is our 2D Metroid retrospective. And so basically, the backstory behind this is we actually sat down and recorded this whole episode before, but as Cass put it on Twitter, it's like the audio got melted by the arc from Indiana Jones.
Or really, it kind of sounded like we were talking through a drive-through window.
Possibly even worse. Let's see here. Oh dang, I don't have my notes anymore from. Oh yeah, here they are. I was gonna say I've got my notes somewhere here from the previous attempt. So
well, there aren't that many games to cover.
I know, but still. But yeah, if you haven't figured out, tonight we are actually talking about Metroid, 2D Metroid to kind of be specific. And it's actually, I'm kind of glad that we're doing this episode now, because both myself and Sophie have played through a couple of the entries that we're going to be talking about in this episode this evening. Kind of, and it's all fresh in our minds, which is going to be really good to go. So
Very fresh.
yes. So, kind of starting out, I guess I'm going to toss it to Sophie first. When did you start with Metroid? What was your first exposure to the series?
My first exposure with Metroid was hold on. It was with Metroid Fusion.
That's a good pick.
No.
Or
My
was it?
bad. Not Metroid Fusion. It was Metroid Zero Mission because my
Also a
brother
good
let
pick.
me borrow the game. And shortly after, I played Metroid Fusion, and that became my favorite Metroid title.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, Fusion's one of those I still haven't really gotten into, so I'm looking forward to hopefully getting through it before Dread comes out. Cass, what about you? Where did you get started with it?
Well, my first experience knowing anything about Metroid was watching my older cousin beat Super Metroid. Like, he had a save right before Turian,
Oh, nice.
and just showed me and my little sister the ending, and I got to see that secondhand, which was pretty cool. But the first real Metroid game that I ever actually got to play was when I borrowed Metroid Fusion from a friend.
I'm noticing a theme here.
Yeah, and Fusion is my favorite out of the 2D Metroids.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of missing out. So I kind of got started. Actually, my first Metroid game was Metroid 2 on the Game Boy. I had mostly been exposed to the series via Smash Brothers beforehand, and so when I was kind of going through, like, I'm talking like Smash 64. So I kind of went through and tried to find these games that all these characters were from, because I wanted to know more. I was really interested in it, and a friend of mine let me borrow Metroid 2, and he just eventually ended up giving it to me, and I never beat the game. I hear it's decently easy to beat the game, so I've thought about maybe going back and giving it a try, but instead I have downloaded AM2R and kind of looking to dig into that eventually. But yeah, so Metroid, the original games. Let me pull up my timeline here. Metroid games started back in the '80s, back on the NES, and that was, I believe, 1986 in Japan. Yeah, 1986 for the original Metroid in Japan, I believe.
Same year as Kid Icarus, I think.
Yeah, and those are it's an interesting case because those are sister games. They were both had that same development team. I believe they came in actually really similar packaging, and they're generally considered to be sister games, and which is
They both basically have Metroids in them.
Yeah, they do. I'm convinced that they take place in the same universe. But yeah, it's so with it, with them being sister games, that actually makes a whole lot of sense. And so Metroid 1, has anyone here beaten that game other than me?
With cheats, yes.
Yes, with cheats. I don't think I've beaten it without cheats, to be entirely honest with you. um, but yeah, I've played through it with cheats. And for people who are curious, I actually think Nintendo Switch Online has like a mode where you get to start off with like all the upgrades and everything, and you can just blaze through the game. So that might be a be an option for those interested in looking at going to the original game. Um, so, what are y'all's thoughts on the original?
It's clunky, it's scary, I don't like it, Justin Bailey.
That's a pretty good summary. Also, you can't duck, which is more upsetting than you would think because there's a lot of enemies in that game that are just entirely too short to kill without like ducking down.
But absolutely nothing is taller than Samus.
Mm-hmm. Not even Kraid. Actually, especially not Kraid. And yeah, it's a weird game, and I'm glad that we got the remake that we did. Cass, did you make your way through it, or did you just stick with Zero Mission?
I played around with it, but I didn't really get very far in it because it. After playing Zero Mission, the first game seemed pretty boring to me.
I agree. I 100% agree.
I got too used to like varied environments instead of what you get in the NES version.
Yeah, it's weird too. So we'll kind of get into it a little bit. Back in 2004, I want to say. Yeah. Let me double check that. Yeah, 2004, February 9th. Nintendo released Metroid Zero Mission, which was a full remake of the original Metroid, and I would be hard pressed to find anything that I prefer in the original over Zero Mission. Um, and this was where I really started to really enjoy the series because I had tried a few games before, like Metroid 2. I had tried out Super Metroid. I had Metroid Prime, and I liked it, but I wasn't like in love with it. So, my real start of enjoyment with the series was Zero Mission, and I would say this is probably the absolute best place to start if you're looking to get into the series, especially with the new game coming up. It's a great introduction to the search action style of gameplay, and it's just a good game. I've got some problems with it, but we'll go over that here in a little bit. Sophie, how were you feeling about Zero Mission? Have you played through it recently, or I think you just made through
No,
Fusion.
I watched you Let's Play it, and it reminded me how frustrating the game kinda is, but overall is a millennia better experience than the first Metroid. And
Oh,
I
Lord.
did look it up that Zero Mission came after Fusion, so it's using Fusion's engine, and that's what to me helped it a lot. My main problem with Zero Mission is probably the lack of direction, but what cons you have are outweighed by the pros, and the freaking lore in it is amazing.
I will take your word for it because I've been one of those shameful people. I have not really paid a whole ton of attention to Metroid lore in the past, and that's kind of no different. Metroid story has never really grabbed me, but it's a simple one too, and it's one thing I do appreciate. Even though like the lore, like delving into the lore, is not for me. I like that it's there because the people who really enjoy that stuff have a lot to dig their teeth into, and a lot of it is really cool stuff. So,
They also have the manga to check out.
oh, that's cool. I might actually check that out. Um, Cass, I'll pass it to you. How do you know? What are your overall feelings on Zero Mission?
I kind of love it. It's especially the part of the game that they added with the stealth section on the
Mhm.
space pirate ship. pretty rad. I like that it's got a lot of the refinements from Fusion, like the edge grapple,
Mm-hmm.
which makes things so much easier. And
Yeah, it's
can make things harder in some situations.
yeah, like it's actually kind of unreal how much of a difference the the ledge grab makes when you're traversing the area. It's actually kind of crazy. And when you start like a new game and you don't have it, you're just like, oh, oh, this feels bad.
Yeah. I think really the one downside is that there are too many filler bosses
Yeah,
that weren't there in the original. I understand why they're there, but they also don't fit super well into the world in my opinion.
that's understandable. That's one thing that I didn't really mind a whole lot was a lot of the new little mini bosses throughout. I thought really and truly, for me, Zero Mission handled its boss fights for the most part fairly fairly competently. Most of them are fun to fight against, like the new Ridley and Kraid fights are really a lot of fun. I think Mother Brain was really the one opportunity that they had to improve a boss fight, and they really didn't, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, it's fighting that boss is more frustrating than fun. You're just kind of popping open her brain jar and pumping her full of missiles while getting knocked into lava repeatedly. um, and
Yeah,
so,
pretty much.
yeah, yeah, and some of the new stuff, like, and I'm actually like the more like after I finished the game, which Sophie's correct. I did just recently stream this game on my Twitch channel, and I uploaded my playthrough to YouTube. So if you want to check that out, shameless plug. Um, but upon reflection, after I finished the game, I actually think I kind of disagree with you, and I was not super big on the stealth section at the end of the game. And for those of you who don't know, spoilers. The original Metroid ends when you defeat Mother Brain and you escape planet Zebes. Whereas with Zero Mission, after you defeat Mother Brain and escape the planet, Samus is shot down back onto the surface of the planet, and she's without her suit, and you have to sneak through a pretty linear section of the game to get to where you can recover your power suit, and then tear through to the new final boss of the game, the new escape sequence. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I didn't like the stun gun a whole lot. It was tense, but like I don't know, it just felt kind of out of place. But I will say the payoff when you get your suit back and you just tear through the space pirate mothership, that is cathartic as hell. And
The best thing
all for
about
it.
that, I think, is that you get all the upgrades that Samus would eventually get in Super Metroid instead of the ones that were just present in the original Metroid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And I mean, I think the original Metroid only had something like 10 upgrades, whereas Zero Mission added a whole lot more.
Yeah, especially in that end segment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you keep finding items throughout the game that you don't know what they are, and they don't tell you what they are until they're just like, okay, here you go, you've got your suit back. Here's all your unlocks, and tearing through all the space pirates is great. But yeah, Zero Mission, even though I think it kind of drags at the end, I highly recommend. I think it's a great time and a great introduction to the series. And of course, over the years, Samus has actually appeared in some different games, as a cameo. We mentioned earlier the Metroid's actually showing up in Kid Icarus, more or less. What are some of your favorite crossovers? Sophie, let's start with you.
My favorite crossover with the Metroid stuff?
Yeah. Whether it be Samus, Ridley.
I like the Easter egg in the in Kirby Superstar that Samus turns into Kirby, when you use the rock form, you can turn into, I think, a statue of Samus, or it's either like a statue of a Chozo. I can't remember, but that's a neat little cameo.
That's really cool. I have never heard of this.
Haloid.
Haloid? I'd be all about that. Cass, what about you? What's your favorite Metroid cameo or crossover?
I'm resting up from Other Brain. Samus in the Mushroom Kingdom Castle and Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, I like to think that Mario RPG is actually a prequel to Zero Mission, and she's just taking a nap before she heads off to planet Zebes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool cameo. Also, didn't she have a small cameo in Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga as well?
Probably. I can't remember.
No, actually, I think it was cut, if I recall correctly. Like, yeah, there's a coffee.
Oh,
Yeah, the
yeah,
coffee
like,
bean shop, and they had a bunch
yeah.
of different cameos that were cut.
Dr. Egad was supposed
Yes.
to introduce them, basically.
Yeah.
I remember now.
Yeah. For me, I've probably got to go with. I love Samus's appearance in Subspace Emissary. I love her team up with Pikachu. How she just saves it from a basically an electric jar, and they go through and get Samus's suit back in true Metroid fashion. And the showdown between Samus, Pikachu, and Ridley is one of the highlights of that campaign for me. With Pikachu jumping in to save her as she's getting just dragged across the wall of the facility. It's kind of nuts.
And eventually they would give Ridley that same move when he was a playable character.
It's iconic. I mean, they gave it to Ridley in Other M as well, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
I think they did. So anyway, so moving on, moving over to the Game Boy of all things, like, or I guess going from the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance down to the Game Boy in 1991, Nintendo released Metroid 2: Return of Samus. Which was kind of a popular thing for them to do, is just toss a sequel onto the Game Boy. I guess this it was really due to Metroid not pulling in the numbers, I guess, that Mario or Zelda did, but still. This is an interesting one, though. Definitely one of the most linear games. Did either of you get through the original Metroid 2?
I played a little bit of it, but I didn't I didn't beat it. I watched a speedrun of it.
Yeah, the speedruns are actually really cool. And we're definitely going to talk about Metroid speedruns here shortly. Cass, did you ever beat it, or did you just play it a little bit?
I played a little bit, and I never finished it because I had the same problem with it that I had with Mega Man and Bass, where it just needs a larger screen to work better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point, because Samus's sprite in that game is huge.
Yeah. Like, I think that Mega Man 7 pulls that off well, but Metroid 2 does not pull that off well.
Yeah. I mean, her sprite actually looks really solid. Compared to a lot of other Game Boy games. Like, if you compare this game to compare Samus to like Mario in like Super Mario Land, like, the difference is enormous. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, so this one was a little bit different. It's a lot more linear. It's got Samus going into the Metroid homeworld, SR388, and the whole objective of the game is to wipe out every Metroid on the planet, which apparently there's only like 40 of them. So she's got a hell of a GPS, and it's very linear, because as you kill these Metroids, that's how you open up new areas. You still got all the basic gameplay of Metroid there. I mean, even from these early games, you can still tell that the formula is all still there in present for, and you can tell where this is going to go. It's just we've got the same formula coming up with Dread. In 2021, it's a tried and true formula after 35 years. But yeah, this is definitely more of a linear game. I never finished it myself. I also haven't played it in years. And this one also got a remake. A couple of remakes. I just want to touch on this one real quick. The fan remake AM2R, which stands for Another Metroid 2 Remake, looks really good. Have either of you gotten into that at all? Watched anything on it?
I've watched stuff on it. I know it borrows a lot of the bosses from Zero Mission and Fusion,
Mm-hmm.
and it sort of plays kind of like the GBA titles, but it's a little bit more clunky since it is its own engine. I think it runs like a RPG Maker engine or something
Really?
like that.
I've got to look this up. That's actually fascinating if someone got this working in RPG Maker.
I think it might be Game Maker.
I was gonna say Game Maker
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
it sounds a lot more. Yeah, it was made in Game Maker. But yeah, this one's actually really cool. I just recently downloaded this one, so I'm probably gonna give it a go and see how it goes. But then it unfortunately got the DMCA from Nintendo, but at least it wasn't in vain because they actually Nintendo announced their own Metroid 2 remake on the 3DS called Metroid Samus Returns. I haven't had a chance to play this one. Have either of you had a chance to get into it?
Nope, but I've wanted to.
Nope, I stopped playing 3DS games around the time that came out.
Yeah, it came out at a really, really unfortunate time. And it's a shame because the Switch was really just about out by this time, wasn't it? Let me pull up the date here. Samus Returns. Yeah, September 15th, 2017. So this was well into the Switch's first year when this came out. So
Yeah.
I can kind of understand why it probably didn't do as well as they had hoped. But if you're looking for one Metroid game to play to kind of get ready for Metroid Dread, this is probably the one to do it because Mercury Steam is the developer and they are developing the upcoming Metroid Dread, which is coming out at the time of this recording in a little over a week, and that's kind of been a long time coming. So,
I'm excited.
yeah, I am too. So before we get on to the big one, if you could actually have Metroid, any of the characters, any of the world, anything from Metroid, crossover with another franchise, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Star Fox.
That would be pretty cool. Wasn't there like a rumored Metroid Star Fox crossover at one point in time?
I'm unaware, but I would love that. Like piloting like Samus's ship as like one of the R-Wings or something would be really cool. And it would be really fun to play Samus in Star Fox Assault or something like that.
Oh lord. Assault is an underrated game and I will not hear any slander.
I agree.
I kind of love that game. Cass, what about you?
It's the vaunted Metroid Halo crossover.
Hey Lloyd.
Hey, Lloyd.
How would that work? Would it be more of a Metroid type thing, or would it be more action packed like Halo?
So I think it would be kind of like a Metroid Prime Halo type crossover where
Mhm.
it would have two campaigns. It would be a Master Chief campaign and a Samus campaign.
Now here's
And
yeah, I was gonna
it would
say,
have some crossover here and there.
yeah, that'd be cool.
And then the final one would be like where you're tagging back and forth.
Yeah, that would
You
be.
know, like in Sonic Adventure 2.
I was about to say. Samus and the Arbiter have to go stop the space colony Ark.
I mean, Samus fighting Bio Lizard sounds pretty right, actually.
Yeah, that's actually pretty on point. So if I were allowed to put this cameo into a game, what I would actually like is I would like for Ridley to show up as a bonus boss in like a Switch version of Doom Eternal or the 2016 Doom. And I want them to use like the heavy metal version of Ridley's theme that they have in Smash Ultimate.
Yes.
And I just want him to be a boss. That's all I want Ridley to be. I just want him to be a boss, and it would be incredible.
A crossover fight in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreaker would be pretty good too.
Oh, that would be actually really good. And given that we've got, it was announced earlier today, Monster Hunter Rise is crossing over with Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm confused. I'm concerned, but
And it's also coming to PC.
oh, did they announce the PC version today?
Yep.
Here comes the double dips. That
Now all we need is crossplay.
would be really dope. That would be really good. Come on, Capcom, make it happen. So, all right. So on March 19th in 1994, the big one dropped for the Metroid series in the form of Super Metroid. This game is hailed as one of the best games ever made.
It is.
Oh lordy. Okay, go ahead and take us through here. How do you feel about Super Metroid?
I like I was saying, I think it's one of the best games ever made. Uh, and a lot of that comes from my enjoyment of the speedrun community.
Mm-hmm.
They make the game look like art in motion, and it also introduced a lot of core mechanics that would be extremely important for the rest of the series. Like the wall jump came from Super Metroid, and if I remember correctly, the speed boost came from Super Metroid.
Yep.
Yeah, it did.
Which are movement tools that are used in the other two games. Well, three games that we've talked about, really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's got a lot of iconic boss fights. That fight with Dragon is still terrifying.
Yeah.
It's got the Crocomire section.
Yep.
It's got Kraid at his actual size.
Yeah, he's kind of huge.
Yeah. And plus it's got that really sick Mother Brain second form.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of literally sick. It's disgusting and terrifying, and I love that segment.
I really do too. Sophie, how about you? What's overall feelings towards Super Metroid?
God. Okay. Let's see. The countless ways that you can break that game in sequence, all of the things that you can just gather in any order, the absolute sheer horrifying atmosphere in that game, because it's pretty much a parallel to like an alien film to me.
Mm-hmm.
Samus shooting hyper beams at Mother Brain. The baby Metroid
The baby.
seeing Samus as its mom essentially and helping her live.
Mm-hmm.
God, there's like so much to this game.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with this game. Oh yeah, go ahead.
And it's important to the Metroidvania titles. Like it is the epitome of Metroidvania, besides like Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, it's so. I'm not a huge Metroid guy. I really appreciate the series, and but here's kind of the thing, and here's actually it's kind of a trend with Nintendo during their transition from the NES to the Super Nintendo, is they would take a game proves popular, something like Super Mario Brothers or Legend of Zelda and Metroid, for example. For the second game, they try something a little bit different, Zelda 2 and Metroid 2 kind of case in point. And then when they release their SNES games, Super Metroid, Link to the Past,
Super Mario World.
Super Mario World, yeah, they're going back to that original formula. Mario's kind of the exception because Mario 3 went back to the original formula and really just knocked it out of the park. But stuff like Link to the Past and Super Metroid share a lot of DNA with their original games. And it's just grinded to perfection on the Super Nintendo. Super Metroid really takes what quite literally the same planet, a lot of the same bosses, a lot of the same beats, a lot of the same structure that you could tell that they were really going for in the original Metroid, and they perfect it. The game, the way that it gradually opens up, which I actually recently went back and played this off stream for a little while. I was like, well, I'm paying for Nintendo Switch Online, I may as well put this to use. And so I booted up on the Switch, laid down in bed, and I played through it probably about an hour and a half. And the way that the game opens itself up slowly to you for like the first third is kind of genius. I still don't think it's like one of the more fun video games that I've ever played, but I feel like this is also a video game that you're going to get the most out of after you know it front to back. And the way that you're able to go through, like you said, and break the game open and just tear through it is amazing. But what they've done with a lot of the bosses, with a lot of the worlds, this is like when they really started hitting home some of the horror elements that might not come across quite as well as you would want because it's on a Super Nintendo. There's only so much you can do with a 16-bit platform in terms of making something like truly horrifying. But stuff like it's Crocomire, right? That just melts.
Yeah.
All that's left is a skeleton. That is horrific. And by and far one of the coolest things that I've ever seen on the Super Nintendo. And it doesn't stop here. Like, I feel like this is where Metroid like starts to get some horror roots, and I love it. And as I've gotten a little bit older, as I've started playing more stuff like getting really into Resident Evil and stuff like that, and I can see a lot of the same DNA. I'm getting a lot more into it. So Super Metroid is something that I am really digging into off stream a bit, and I'm really appreciating it in a newer light. And I'm really starting to see why everybody is saying this is one of the best video games ever made. I'm going to save my final judgment for when I finish it and see how it goes. But yeah, it even fixes that my issue with Zero Mission and Mother Brain and how just irritating that boss fight was. The climax of Super Metroid is incredible. And Other M's existence is almost worth it, just so you can see a fully CG horrific Mother Brain in that giant cyborg body.
Yeah, the 10 seconds of footage is the best part about that the Other M.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's kind of great. Does anyone else have anything else to say about Super Metroid? I guess
it's an artistic masterpiece.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It is.
Kill the animals.
Of course, you would say that. But
Save
yes.
the frames.
So, all right. So here's another question for you. If you could have a Metroid game developed by any other developer, who would it be, and what style of game would they be?
FromSoft.
FromSoft.
Yeah.
Ooh.
A Souls-esque Metroid game.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Especially more in the guise of like a Sekiro style one, I think would work really well because that uses 3D environments really well.
And Samus could use the wave beam, or not the wave beam, God, what is it?
The grapple beam?
Yeah, grapple beam.
Oh, geez, yeah, that would actually be cool. Yeah, that's FromSoft is something I didn't think of, and that's actually really cool. I like that idea. Cass,
like
what about you?
Other M, but better.
Yeah. I'll still stand by the fact that Other M, like the gameplay itself, if you can get over the clunkiness of the controls, is not that bad. Like,
I don't know, man. Like,
I have certainly played worse video games.
Oh, me too, but I'm not about to give the ones that are bad like cookies for not being as bad as the worst ones.
Oh goodness. The game deserves a lot of the flack that it gets, but I don't know. I think when you're running around, the combat itself feels fine and feels good. Some of the stuff that she does is cool. If they had just structured it like a traditional Metroid game, based more on exploration and cut back on the story about 90%, I think it would have been much, much better received. But anyway, so Cass, what developer would you pick?
Capcom.
You stole my answer. You stole my cheat sheet answer from last time.
Okay. Let me rephrase that. Let me change the answer. How about Team Cherry,
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
the Hollow Knight guys?
Yeah, that would actually. Could you imagine like a cute little like a cute little Samus kind of design like the knight?
Yeah, hand drawn sprites and movement in that style. They're already really good at Metroidvania's search action style games now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really good at atmosphere, which is something that Metroid needs. So I would trust them.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good one. So I had the idea. I want Capcom to do a Metroid game, but I want the Resident Evil 2 remake team to do it, and I want it done in the RE engine. I feel like a lot of the horrific stuff that you see in these games would look incredible in the RE engine. A lot of these monsters would look great. Could you imagine Mother Brain in this engine? Could you imagine? Yeah, could you imagine Kraid in this engine?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and like the atmosphere, I think last time that we talked, you had mentioned that a huge part of Metroid is the verticality of the traversal, and I think that would be something that they would need to work on. But I think they could pull it off. I think they can make a really atmospheric, really tense game to go through.
Yeah, if they can manage to pull off the platforming well enough, I think it would be great.
Yeah, I would. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So that's going to bring us up to the game that Sophie, you have actually just finished. Do you want to tell us what our last game on the list tonight is?
Metroid Fusion.
Tell me about Metroid Fusion.
I recently streamed it. It's my favorite Metroid game. It's incredibly horrifying. It was some bits were harder than I remembered. I absolutely hate the security bot, but it was also the most interesting boss fight in that game. I hate the spider that you get the gravity jump from. Uh, I like the SAX segments a whole lot. Uh, I love how you just like unlock every little thing bit by bit. And I found out that the computer that's helping you is not exactly a singular AI, but it's plenty. And I mean, I could spoil the rest of the plot of the game if you want me to.
Okay, I mean we can give a quick little spoiler warning for Metroid Fusion. I think the only person in the live audience right now is Saxtastic Nick. Hi Nick. Good,
Hi, Nick.
Good friend of the show. We love him. We love him lots.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
He's Teacher Nick.
Yeah, hi, Professor Nick.
Nice. And I'm pretty sure Nick has completed Metroid Fusion. And so anybody listening to this on the Spotify or the archives, this is your spoiler warning. So Sophie, take it away.
Okay, spoiler warning. So, what the whole point of Metroid Fusion was is they sent Samus to eradicate the X parasite in this base that they were housing various environments from. They were essentially trying to breed the X parasite and undercover breeding the Metroid to essentially like break the balance of the entire galaxy and using the Metroid as a bioweapon, and it doesn't work out in their favor because by the time that Samus finds that out, there's like 10 other SAXs on board the base. So Samus is on a timer, and the AI that you talk to is actually like various brains of previous professors and leaders that have helped Samus or guided Samus, and the most prominent one is her leader or her CO, Adam Mulkovich. And you find that out at the end of the game because the AI keeps questioning her about her like I guess moral ground and what her leader would do, and then it's an instant switch to how like her commanding officer would treat her.
Yeah, it's a lot, and a lot of the stuff is actually going to carry over into Dread as well. So that's
Can't wait.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Cass, what's your experience with Metroid Fusion?
Well, like I said earlier, Metroid Fusion was a game I borrowed from a friend in like middle school, and it was the first Metroid I had gotten to play. And I think my favorite thing about it is that it feels kind of claustrophobic. There's a looming sense of dread, and I think it might be partially because of the soundtrack. Like
Mhm.
even before you know that the SAX exists, and after that point, watching it just steamroll certain areas of the game, make doors where they're not supposed to be, and then later just chase you. Those are my favorite elements of the game.
Yeah, it's really cool. I haven't played through this game. I've only recently I've only played probably about 30 minutes or so of it, so I've still got quite a ways to go. But I love this sense of dread and just fear that you've got just going through, and just the stuff that I've looked at, and how this game creates horror and tension. Um, very successfully on a Game Boy Advance is really, really impressive. And in true Metroid fashion, there's some really horrific stuff in here, like Nightmare and his oozing face. Ugh.
Nightmare is my favorite boss in the game, bar none.
Yeah, that's a cool looking one. And I can't give enough shout outs to Sophie and her playthrough. And that is absolutely something you in the show notes below. We're going to have a link to her YouTube channel. Please go watch the VODs. They're cool.
Please do.
Yeah, they're good stuff. But yeah, this is a game that I'm really looking forward to digging into, and I'm really hoping that I can get it done before Dread comes out. Because today I actually just sat down and I pre-ordered Metroid Dread, and I've never pre-ordered a Metroid game before. That's how much I'm kind of stoked for this game. So really, the future for Metroid is looking really, really bright. I am beyond excited for this game, and it's something I never thought I would really be for a Metroid game, but it looks really good. It looks really good. So, I guess real quick, how's everyone's hype level going into Dread? Since we're just at the time of this recording, a little over a week away.
I've been hyped since they showed the teaser trailers for it.
Yeah, I wish they would stop spoiling stuff with the trailers.
I'm excited to see where they go past the Metroid Fusion storyline, and I'm ready for Samus to tear down the whole Federation if she has to.
Given the stuff, like, I'm convinced that like the Federation and Umbrella are basically the same thing. Only it's like if they kept hiring like Leon Kennedy to go take care of the zombies, but then they kept making more zombies.
See, I hope that the twist in the game is that you're dealing with like these ex-Chozo people, and then the remnants of the space pirates show up,
Mm-hmm.
and the space pirates finally just bow down to Samus, and now she has her own armada.
That
Yes.
was
Yes.
that'd be really cool. Yeah, but yeah, I do wish they would stop showing us some spoilers in the trailers. I'm really excited for this game. Everything about it is just absolutely nuts. I can say that since I do have the game pre-ordered and ready to go, you will be able to watch me play through the game at twitch.tv/protodad on the day of release.
Nice.
So if anyone wants to come join me, come on in. We'll play through the game together. So yeah, any other overall thoughts on the Metroid series before we kind of move on to some podcast business, so to say?
We need to do a Metroid Prime thing eventually.
Yes, we do.
Which means I would have to actually play the games.
Yeah, we could we you know what, that actually, kind of leading into to what we're going to talk about, just kind of format changes for the for the podcast going forward. You may actually get that opportunity,
Oh, good.
whether you like it or not.
Oh, good.
So we had actually talked a little bit earlier in Discord about we're starting up something, doing a retro game of the month, and this probably won't start until, I would say, probably November, because I think it's okay to say that game of the month for October is probably going to be Metroid Dread, right? Are we all cool with that?
I'd say that's probably about right.
Yeah.
So starting in November, what we're going to do is we're going to get a big database together of a bunch of retro games, which I'd say at least have to be. What's a good cutoff, you think? Like GameCube, PS2, Xbox era?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. So what we're going to do is every month, at the end of every month, we're going to pull a random number, and whatever game matches up to that number is a game that we're going to play for a little bit over the course of that month, and then at the end of the month, we're going to talk about it and see, and share our thoughts, and if we had a good time, and hopefully it's a lot of stuff that we haven't really played before, so we can, play some new stuff. You like Metroid Prime? That would absolutely be in there, and that would be a great way to get started on that. So I could absolutely see us doing Metroid Prime in the future.
And in lieu of that, if we decide not to do that, we can just listen to Phendrana Drifts over and over again.
Yes, we're just going to have a 3-hour podcast, and that's just what we're going to listen to for 3 hours.
I'm down.
We're just going to get together. We're going to vibe.
That music would actually go well over a Christmas episode.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. It's done.
If we don't do the Freeze Man music.
Just all the ice robot masters.
I'll just do what Frisk and Napstablook do and just put on the song "Eat a Ghost Sandwich" and lay on the ground.
That sounds great.
Exactly.
But yeah, so those of you who are listening, when we announce Game of the Month, if you would like to join in and play along with us, feel free. We would love to hear your thoughts on whatever games we end up playing. We're trying to make sure to keep the list as curated as possible to where it's stuff that's pretty easily accessible for cheap or other means.
Yeah,
pretty easily. So I think that's a good way to go. So look forward to that coming in November. So yeah, anyone else got anything else to say before we get it wrapped up and sign off for the evening?
Not related to Metroid, but I'm currently working on some new music, so
Nice.
be on the lookout for that. There's going to be a lot of like video game inspired sound bits in it. So,
Yes.
yeah.
I'm about that. And Sophie, your Bandcamp is listed in the show notes of every episode. So
Oh, good.
Yep. So anybody who wants to give that stuff a listen, which I've listened to it, it's really good. Yeah, find all the links you need in the show notes below.
And my final tidbit for today is don't ever let anyone named Adam tell you what to do.
That's a good call. Not even Adam from Power Rangers.
No Adams allowed.
No Adams allowed. All right. Well, so with that, I would like to thank you all so much for listening. You can find all of our socials and everything in the show notes below. And yeah, if you enjoy this episode, give us a thumbs up, give us a hot, good review, and help us feed the algorithm. That's really and truly the best way to support the show, because we don't do Patreon or anything. We're just three peoples who like to sit down and talk about video games, so it's a good time. And we're glad that you're here with us, and we hope that you enjoy the stuff that we put out. All right, so with that, I think that's going to call it a night for us. And from myself and on behalf of Cass and Sophie here at the Get Equipped podcast, thank you all so much for listening and have a good night. Take care.
Ciao.
Au revoir.